Well, good evening, everyone. Good evening. This is Pastor Shirley Hood coming to you on Reflections TV. This is a new episode. That's right, a new episode, y'all. Listen, I got one of my dear sisters on today, and she is going to bring us in on talking about financial tips, y'all. Financial tips. We need that on today. But before we do, we just like to say thanks to each and every one of you who had watched this show for the past few months as we bring good episodes in regards to good health over COVID. Last month we had Takesha Williams, who brought her expertise on nutrition. And on today, I have my dear sister who is going to bring on financial independence. We all need that, right? Yes, we certainly do. But we want to get prepared for our Peace Love Judah Jam Festival. That's right, that's going to be held Saturday, September 10th, 2022, where it's going to be held at the Honor Monique Central Park Playground, located in East Providence, Rhode Island. Listen, you don't want to miss what we got going on there. We're going to have our civic leaders. We're going to have our speakers, agencies, entertainment, music, you name it, even free food. Who likes free food? I know I do. But let me tell you, you don't want to miss this grand event. And we're going to have our coaches on hand to share their expertise on what we've been talking about these last 3 months. But again, we'd like to thank you. And as we are about to introduce my dear sister, she is an expertise in financial independence, and we want you to tune in what she has to offer. So let us introduce to you none other than Shay Lawson. Shay, thank you so much for being on this new episode of Reflections TV.
Oh my gosh, I am so honored. Thank you so much for inviting me and wanting to share. Thank you.
Well, you know, Shay, we've been wanting to have this type of show for people who are going through the struggle financially. And right now, we just need to get out of this fickle that we're in, because due to COVID, a lot of folks are losing their jobs and finding jobs, and between all that, they are experiencing financial issues. But, you know, before we get into that, Shay, tell us, how did you get started all in this?
Excellent question. So I currently work for Navigant Credit Union. I work in the location of Central Falls. So in there's so many opportunities to educate. There's so many different businesses to educate. Really, small businesses is my passion, and I do love it. But how I got into it was just because of budgeting myself. I'm a mother. I'm a mother of 5 children. I have 3 older children, wow. So I was married in my past life. But what I had to learn was budget.
Yes.
And budgeting is just really just not for people who want to make ends meet. Budgeting is for the middle class,
yes.
And budgeting is also for the upper class as well. So I deal with different facets. I deal with different brackets of people, classes of people. So when it came to budgeting for myself, because of being a single parent, I had to learn, you know, these bills need to get paid,
yes.
Right? And we need to learn to make healthy habits, because yes. Some of us love to shop. Yes. I was a shopper. I'm still a shopper with that retail therapy. Oh. And those habits had to change, yes. A little bit. And so that's what got me into it. And then when I found the passion to do it, I thought maybe I could help others as well with that when it came to budgeting.
Wow, that is so excellent. And it's always good to have someone who has the experience to teach someone else. I know that you put on workshops and you have helped a lot of people to get over the hump that most of us are in, you know. And so, you know, was it really hard for you when you started this journey of financial independence?
Yes, it was. Because when, you know, like I told you, I was previously married. So when you do go through divorce, sometimes you're used to having both of those incomes. Now those 2 incomes become one, okay? So my thing was what was most important, okay? So like I said, I love retail therapy. I love going to Starbucks. I love doing all these little treats.
Yes.
But at the same time, is it really worth it?
Right.
Is it really worth
Right.
it? And so that's another reason why I wanted to help educate and get started with it.
Wow, you know, it's so funny you said that, because we do like a lot of those places. I know one of my favorite restaurants is Dunkin Donuts. You know, everybody has to have that coffee every morning.
Every morning.
Ooh. And you know, it's so funny. My coworker she says, you know, Shirley, you don't realize how much money you give into them every single day. But you know, that coffee is so good, you just can't really pass it up. When you go by, especially me, and when I go by there before going to work, I'm like jonesing for a hot cup of coffee or even a donut or bagel, and not realizing that my money is going towards them. But I'm like, okay, how do I manage myself effectively? Like, do you think that we should put ourselves on a budget when it comes down to that?
Yes, and you should. What I do as a treat to myself, because I told you I work for Navigant Credit Union, so sometimes Shaylon is a little late, and I had to change those habits. And with those habits, I have to really say, as I said, I won't give myself a treat unless you're on time.
Wow.
And when you start to discipline yourself, because a lot of times that we don't have discipline.
Right.
Sometimes we're very loose with our cash, loose with our money.
Yeah.
And so when we learn, you know what, let's give our money a purpose.
Wow.
And what is that purpose?
Yeah.
So when you start to budget, I just want to share, I used to have like these little I love pretty cards and anything that had inspirational messages. So before I opened up my bank account, I actually started off with just cash. And what I did was when I got my paycheck, I had a little bit more control. I felt like I had more control.
Wow.
And then what I would do is with each envelope and each bill, I will write down, well, if this one's my electric, I'll put that there. If this one's my gas, this one's your food for the week, and then this is your fund money. And that helped out for a long time.
Wow.
And then when I finally upgraded,
Yes.
I went into, and let me just tell you, when you sit there and budget, you actually get excited.
Wow.
Because it always feels good when you know that you have enough to pay.
Yeah.
You know, but when I upgraded and opened up bank accounts, I end up structuring my bank accounts.
Wow.
Whether your bank account was for rent or mortgage,
Yes.
you had your food, you had your bills,
Yes.
and you almost like an operating account, and then you had a money account.
Yes.
So again, your money had your purpose.
Yes. So why is it that a lot of folks are going through the struggle with finances, especially during COVID? Now, you mentioned discipline. That's one of the things that we need to manage in our lives. So why is it so difficult for most people, especially the ones I talk to? They said, oh, it's just so hard for me to discipline my money. Why is it so hard for folks?
Well, I think a lot of times too, what happened was with the pandemic, it was a scary time, right? And even for myself, you know, when they talked about your food storage,
Yes.
right? When we were short on certain things,
Yes.
if you was the person that lived week to week to week and you
Yes.
never sat there and budgeted from the beginning
Yes.
and had those healthy habits
Yes.
where you had like, you know, an overflow. You know, if you had, I already have 12 packs of toilet paper. Yes. I already have all my goods.
Yes.
And some of us live paycheck to paycheck and we
Yes.
didn't develop those healthy habits at all.
Yes.
So unfortunately, when the pandemic happened, it was that little scare,
Yes.
right? So we went out and bought everything. We went out and we did everything we could. And then at the end of the day, you didn't have enough finances. If something were to happen, we didn't have an emergency fund.
Yes.
If something were to happen. And that was another thing with the pandemic. I noticed that at the credit union, that when it came to budgeting and it came to saving, because of the pandemic, people were preparing themselves now.
Wow.
So I felt as though it still brought an awareness where
Yeah.
people probably didn't take it that seriously.
Yes.
Because I actually, with my home, I had a grandmother, and let me tell you, she taught me budgeting.
Wow.
And she taught me, you know what, you put this little bit of money, whether it's $10, whether it's $25 for a rainy day, because you don't know when that rainy day is going to happen.
True. That is so true.
And we need to prepare.
That's true.
And I kept that habit. At least if any good habits happened, that was one habit, because
Wow.
I was prepared for that rainy day.
Wow.
So I think that, again, when it comes to discipline, we need to know that when you need to prepare.
Yeah.
So I think that's why the pockets are a little bit loose. You know, when they use that expression, I got pockets with holes in them,
Yes.
that's where it's coming from.
What do you say to that consumer who overspends and don't realize that they got themselves in a bind? There are a lot of folks who, when I say overspend, they would buy subscriptions here or there, you know, and, you know, like those streaming services like Hulu and Netflix, and not realizing that they got themselves into a debt. Now you have this loan servicing called Affirm, where you can pay on, like, it's like a layaway, but you can get to keep these items, but not even realizing that you're almost putting yourself in this hole.
Absolutely.
So what do you do? What do you say to a consumer who is going through that, and how should they get themselves out of that?
Absolutely. That also too, affirm. I haven't heard that one before, but that also sounds like when we deal with check cashing places too. When they dig themselves in the hole because I need the money right now, I need this item right now.
Yes.
And the interest rates are super high.
Yes.
Right? So let's just clarify that the interest rates, you're always paying people back way more than what you spent. Sometimes if you're getting 600, or like the company you're talking about, if you made purchases for 2,000, but you're paying back 5,000.
Right.
Because the interest rate is high. I understand those habits. But again, you have to educate yourself.
Wow.
Because it's programs like this, like exactly what we're doing right now, tuning in and listening to, you know what, maybe I should make those changes, because sometimes our habits really don't come from just because we want to.
Yes.
It's something we grew up with.
Yes.
It's something we saw, it's something we were exposed to.
Yes.
I saw so many different situations when some people will say, well, I have certain items on my credit and I just have bad credit. And so they don't really know that, you know what, you don't have bad credit.
Yes.
You just have fair credit.
Yes.
And we could build it up for you.
Yes.
And so that's where I think a lot of times that we, again, need to, I give every opportunity to educate, whether it's even at that level, because some people, you know, not to talk about JD by Ryder or Shannon Motors or all these, you know, when they say you have bad credit, but people really don't understand that you really don't have bad credit, and there's ways to grow your credit.
Right.
And that's why I don't want to like throw out certain credit unions, but the credit union is a great place.
Right.
When you just walk in there and you say, you know what, I'm not in the best position right now.
Yes.
And I need help.
Yes.
Can you help me?
Yes.
And we definitely help with building up your credit that way as well.
Wow. What about, you know, I have a whole lot to say, and I'm saying this, asking these questions for a whole lot of the viewers, and I'm pretty sure they could agree with me about where they are financially, but what about credit card debt? Credit card debt is the most high expenses on a consumer's list.
Absolutely.
What do you say to those who they're in this jam because their credit cards limits are over the limit, and now they have a credit card debt for $2,000. They're trying to budget and manage what they need to pay on each month, but they got this credit card debt, and if they don't pay on that credit card debt, it's going to drop their credit score. What do you say, or have you had customers come in and say, I need help with that?
Right. So again, we're back at the credit union. Because the credit union doesn't go by your number. So if your credit had dropped to like the 500s, okay, let's say you're that low, we don't turn you down.
Wow.
Because your credit, you have to look into debt consolidation. That's the only way you're going to get out of that. Because at that point, you only need one bill.
Wow.
You don't need 5 bills. You know, some people have homes, they have the Home Depot. Then you have BJ's. Then you have, you know, J.C. Penney's, Macy's, the list goes on and on. And so what that is that now you can take and do a debt consolidation and have one bill.
Wow.
So that will be my only answer.
Yes.
Because you don't have enough funds to spread.
Yes.
Okay, and it's okay.
Yes.
But if your credit is not where it's supposed to be,
Yes.
I always say to go to that avenue, because the interest rates are not sky high like your credit card, the max
Yes.
on some credit cards are almost up to 30%.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so you're paying fees every single month.
Yes.
So with that being said, and I will take all the debt, like if it's not even just like your credit cards,
Yes.
you may have some items that, you know what, the pandemic happened and you just couldn't pay for it. Whatever that may be, you just couldn't pay for it, but fix it.
Yes.
And that's the most important. And I know we're deriving a little bit more towards credit, because the thing about it is that what the credit union wants you to understand is not about your score, it's about your situation.
Wow.
And my thing is that if you come to me and say, listen, I need help, and this is what I want to pay off everything, and you gave attention to those items on the credit, because a lot of times we don't give attention. Right? And so we stay in this situation, and then we keep our mind thinking, you know what, I have bad credit, I can't do anything, there's opportunities. There's so many different opportunities. And I also like to add, not only on a consumer level, but on a business level, because as entrepreneurs too, there's opportunities. There's certain creditors that you can go to build up that business credit as well, if there's a need for that.
I'm glad that you were talking about entrepreneurship, because I know there's a lot of people who wants to start their own businesses, especially myself, because, I want to be an entrepreneur. I feel like I'm a born leader, and I thank God for people like you, that I can go to, consider this, because I wanted to always have the opportunity to start my own business. And you mentioned something about your score, because sometimes I think consumers get so afraid that, when they want to start their own business, or when they want to get themselves out of a pickle, they're thinking, okay, how am I going to do this? But my credit score is bad. And you're thinking, okay, I can't go into a bank because they're going to deny me. But if you're saying a credit union is the best place to shop or to go to get that help, then I think that's all worth the while.
Absolutely.
Yes. So entrepreneurship is, I know, one of the things that you teach as well. You say that, most people who is in that field or going into business, what advice do you give to an entrepreneur?
Oh my gosh. I have so many different, but first is fear.
Yes.
Try to get over your fear.
Yes.
Because when we think about our business, we think about finances, right? That we're financially not in the right place maybe to bring out that vision and to see that vision bloom. But there's different ways. There's grant money that's out there for us, but you have to put yourself into position.
Yes.
And one of the things is that again, it's education and knowledge.
Yes.
Once you invest in yourself,
go
to those workshops. Go, I'm not just saying stay on YouTube University. YouTube University is great, but it's not going to give you all the nuggets that you really need. Because when we get into getting grant money, and I mean, this is just not the 501c3s. This is people who want to not only open up restaurants, but people who want a nail salon.
Yes.
People who want a massage. Like, now it's all about the what is it? The body shapers. Where it's the frozen one. I forget the name of it, but it's as small as that. So we need to understand the sculpting. That's what it was. So anything that your dream is, even if you need $2,000 to $5,000, again, you have your local credit union, but you also have ways to receive grant money. So, and then also to your business plan. I always tell people, make sure that you write that down and make it plain. Because we need to make our vision plain. And if we don't make our vision plain, and really put on paper what we want, how would anybody else take us seriously? How would anyone else take us seriously? So I do have a real passion for entrepreneurs, because I love to see dreams bloom. I love to see it bloom.
And it's so funny, there was one business that I went to, and she's actually a friend of mine and yours, and she started her own business, and I went there and I was so delighted. She even gave me a grand tour of her business, and I was just like, oh my God, this is beautiful. And and just a delight just to see our own, y'all, to be blossoming in this field, doing what they're really passionate about. And when you have an entrepreneur who's really passionate about what they want to do, of course they want to take into consideration to create that plan. The Bible does tell us to write the vision and make it plain.
Absolutely.
And when you write it down and asking God to lead and guide you, especially when you have a relationship with God, God can always lead and guide you into knowledge and to understand it. And I think we need to do our homework. I'm sure you agree that we need to do our homework and get take those classes, get education. My whole thing is going, starting getting my not own business, but I also want to be a homeowner one day.
Absolutely.
So there's things I need to put into place, and I think that for most people who will be watching, listen, y'all, if you are in a situation like most Americans are in, just like she said, go and go online, go to and visit some credit unions. You can even go to Navigate Credit Union and see what they have to offer, because I believe that this will only help you, but it will help everyone else in the long run.
Absolutely.
So, Shay, so we want to, ask you these questions from our viewers.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So the first question our viewers have is, what are ways to save when you currently have no extra money in your budget to transfer into a savings account?
So again, it goes back to budgeting. We all have money.
Yes.
We all have money. It's either if you're working and you're employed, if you're receiving Social Security, disability, somewhere, you have money. Now, the way to save it is, again, to budget. See, we get to if we're on a month-to-month or week-to-week paycheck, we can't just go and just frivolously, spend our money.
Yeah.
$10 doesn't hurt.
Right.
$10 a week in a year is $520.
Wow.
If you match it to $100, that's $5,200.
Wow.
There are certain products that you can give. Like I said, I used to work for the credit union. I used to have a Christmas club, and you have a vacation club.
Yes.
Depends on what your priorities are.
Yes.
And there's certain times of that year that those funds, that check was cut.
Yes.
So that check didn't necessarily have to be for your Christmas club, and that check didn't necessarily have to be for your vacation
Wow.
club
Wow.
to go on vacation.
Wow.
It was for if you needed to pay any bills. Because I remember during Christmas time, I said, oh my gosh, I was like, every time Christmas time comes, you're spending like $2,000, $3,000.
Yes.
They want the latest gadgets. They want then the
Yes.
clothes, then all of these things.
Yes.
And we want to shower our children, but if you don't have the finances, I didn't want to be that mother that didn't have anything
Yes.
under the tree.
Yes.
So what happened is, again, we're budgeting. Even if it was something as small as $520, you know what? It helped me out for that holiday
Wow.
season.
Wow.
And that was just taking out, you know what? You didn't buy your lunch that day. You didn't do takeout that day.
Wow.
And you were able to save. So again, budgeting matters with discipline so you
Yeah.
do have the money.
Yes, wow, that's a great answer. That is a great answer, y'all. Listen, I don't know about y'all, but I'm getting so much information from this coach here. Let me tell you, look her up on social media. If you need any questions to be made, please visit her Facebook page, Shay Lawson, and she would give you all the information that you need in regards to financial independency. So the next question that our viewers ask is, what is a financial tip you can give to all teens? Teens, and this is good for me too, who are just starting to earn their own money.
Absolutely. This is such a fun one. So besides the credit union, there are other financial institutions, okay, that have accounts for teens and preteens. So I do know that Bank of America starts at the age of 12, Navigant Credit Union starts at the age of 13. And we give them a little card,
Wow.
okay, and we teach them, okay, you know what, you can go online and look at your account. Oh, I love it. You could go online and look at your account. And another thing is that we have direct deposit. A lot of teens are having summer jobs right now. A lot of they're working for the city and doing things. So I've been educating them. You know what? Put that check in there automatically. And then be able to log into your online account. I also do open up a savings account for them, so they can as well put at least $10 in before they go to the mall and start spending it, or go online to start spending. So there are ways of teaching your children at such a young age, and definitely showing them healthy habits, you know, and how to use a card. Because sometimes, I'm telling you, we get a debit card, we overdraw our account, we don't know what's going on, and then we're like, what happened? That one bounced?
Yes, yes.
You're like, okay, yeah. So again, starting them young. And that's why I was happy when the credit union started at the age of 13, because it's very imperative. We can even put your child's picture on the card, so they can, you know, feel super special. But you know what? Teaching them healthy habits so young is so imperative.
Wow, that
is
is
so imperative.
So great. You know, it's so funny you said that, because, you know, I have a 15-year-old and he started a summer job, and he's doing work down at Jews Hope Chest, and so he loves that job. You know, he started as a volunteer, but he wants to have his own debit card. And I thought maybe this will be a great opportunity for him to learn about money and ways of how to spend it effectively, the right way, actually.
Absolutely.
So I think we may be visiting your bank
Yes.
soon. Yes,
Please.
because I believe you're right. Every teenager should have the opportunity to know how to manage their money effectively so that when they grow up, they wouldn't be in the bind. Because I try to teach my children how important not only education, but money, because you're going to need that because it may be even more higher for them, economically when they get to that age, like 21 or 25, and they're on their own,
Absolutely.
and not still living under mama's roof, which I don't hope they will. However, we still want to be able to teach them now so that they can have those benefits at the end.
Absolutely.
Oh, Shay, this is so great. Thank you so much for giving us so much information that we need on how to manage our money effectively, especially during COVID. And listen, y'all, you're going to hear Ms. Shay Lawson at the Peace Love Judah Jam Festival, where she's going to provide financial tips on how to manage your money effectively. On this next approach that we're going to do, right after us, she is going to bring in some financial tips, y'all, on her own on how we need to manage our money. Listen, we thank everyone for tuning in on today, watching Reflections TV, Good Health Over COVID TV series. Tune in on next month. Next month, we're going to have wellness coach, Stephanie Barboza, and she's going to close us out, yes, before our Peace, Love, Judah Jam Festival. And you can get to see her and everyone who has been on Reflections TV for the past 4 months. So thank you so much for tuning in on Reflections TV, and stay tuned for Shay Lawson. God bless.
Welcome to Real Talk Money Matters, Basic Budgeting Principles. In this session, you will learn and gain a greater insight on budgeting, look at attitude about budgeting money, and also benefits of budgeting. And if we have more time, I will add steps to creating a budget, identify various budget methods, funding college while taking a student loan, and also to be introduced to various budgeting tips and tools. And we will currently be like that. Let's start over. Welcome to Real Talk Money Matters, Basic Budgeting Principles. In this session, you will learn and gain a greater insight on budgeting, look at attitude about budgeting money, also benefits of budgeting, steps to creating a budget, identifying various budget methods, funding college while taking a loan, and be introduced to various budgeting tips. And my foundation scripture is Philippians 4:19. And for my God will supply all your needs according to his riches and glories in Jesus Christ. Now, who am I? My name is Shayla Lawson. I currently work for Navigant Credit Union, and I just want to thank Shirley Hood for introducing me to Destiny Productions. And also, too, I just want to raise about the awareness for her Judah Jam that will take place on September. So you could definitely see the flyer that is currently on this video. So just a few disclaimers. I don't have a degree in finances. I do work for Navigant, but I don't have a degree in finances. I don't have $1 million in my bank account yet. I don't have all the answers about finance. What I do know is that you don't have to buy any of the above to learn how to budget. Just a willingness to learn strategies that can set you on a better path as it relates to budgeting. My experiences with finances and some lessons I've learned that has led me towards a better path to becoming a better steward of money. So just real briefly, I just want to take a money quiz with you. With this money quiz, if you answered and really hone on and take it seriously, With this money quiz, I want you to answer yes or no. Have you ever felt like all your money is going out the window? Do you feel like you have a hole in your pocket? That's the little anecdote my mother used to always say to me. You girl, you got holes in your pocket. Do you feel like you spend more than you make? Have you ever thought to yourself, where is all my money going? Have you ever felt broke at the end of a pay week? Well, if you answered yes to one or more of these questions, then this is the workshop for you. Because like I said, I was always the sister that always felt like I had a hole in my pocket, especially after a week's pay. So let's just get you rolling and see how we could almost change your mindset when you look at money. So we're going to start with attitudes about budgeting money. Look it's all going to work out. Too poor to budget? I know I should be budgeting, but are these some of the excuses and attitudes that you bring when you think about budgeting? Don't have the time to budget. Budget is way too scary. Budget is too much work. Budgeting is just too confusing to try. If you answer yes to any of those, is that your attitude? Because I remember with budgeting, it just took too much time. I was just like, I don't have time to sit here and actually take my paycheck and let's go over the numbers. Let's go over the financials. But I had to grow past that. So what is exactly budget? A budget is a written plan for your money. A budget actually gives you permission to spend. So really, when we look at budget, I just want to do a little sidebar. When we actually look at budgeting, it's not really based on people who live paycheck to paycheck. If you're wealthy, you need to budget as well. So that budget is a written plan for your money. So just let you know how I started with the budgeting was first when I started with these like little cute envelopes. And you also heard that in the interview as well with Pastor Shirley Hood. And what it was that I felt like I was able to reward myself after my budgeting. So I would take all these like little cute envelopes and make sure that my electric bill was paid, make sure that my gas bill was paid, make sure that everything that I needed to pay first. And then I will put like either it was $10 or $20 in a savings account. So that also gave me permission to spend. And also too, that also saved money for what? A rainy day. So a budget also gives you the opportunity to make a plan and spend your money on the things that you really care about. So sometimes we want to go on vacation. Sometimes that we want to plan an outing with our family. But if we only live paycheck to paycheck without really saving money, because every time I think about it, and I also shared this in the interview, I had to actually think to myself, how much money do I spend frivolously? Like that, I don't know where the money is, like this liquid money. I'm over here at Dunkin', or you're over here at Starbucks. You're over here spending money on this. Oh, I need that. All these wants, but not really your needs. So let's just talk about it. A money budget planner. This here is like a little pie. I did use this like way before, like when we planned with spending, like my breakdown. And also what you see on this clip is the pie that says like, you know, your rental expenses, your housing expenses, whether you have a mortgage, your utility, your food, your transportation, clothing, personal recreation, and saving plan items. So if you can make a grid or a pie, personally, I ended up, what worked out for me was that on my monthly planner, I really got a monthly financial planner. It was cute. It was fun. I was able to put in my rent at that time. I was able to put in what my car note was at that time, and then also my food expenses. And if any of you have children, I don't know if they go to private school, if they go to public school, but even those things, or even a charter school where you have to buy uniforms, now you're constantly buying footwear and different things like that. You want to start either a pie or get yourself a financial book or financial planner. And I just want to go over why budgeting is so important. Budgeting is so important. It prepares you for unexpected hits like job losses. So everyone knows that we just went through COVID, right? So we went through COVID. And when we went through COVID, oh my goodness, how many job losses and how many people lost their jobs and how many people did live paycheck to paycheck or even biweekly. And they really didn't have any savings account for such a time. A lot of us weren't prepared for what happened. Even businesses weren't prepared for what happened. So with the job losses, also paycheck to paycheck living, help to avoid black hole spending and avoid stress, prepare an emergency fund. So if anything were to happen to your children, anything were to happen to you, if you were able to, I just want to tell you, like, one of the features at the credit union, when you do go for loans and certain things like that, you want to be sure that you have a peace of mind and there's some type of covering as far as disability, because if something were to happen to you at work, who is going to cover that loan? Who is going to help you with those expenses while you try to get it back on your feet? Because I've never been on unemployment, but from what I heard and for what we've been through, it takes weeks before you get any payment. So who is going to cover and what is going to cover you in that time? So that's why budgeting is so important. Again, even if it was just $10 a week you saved, because not all of us are able to save that $100 a week. But even if it's $10 a week that you save and you put it into a Christmas club account, or you went and put it into a vacation account of some sort, then you're able to actually have $520. Yes, it doesn't sound like $1 million, but it's more than what you had. So you definitely want to take a look at that. And just a continuation about why is budgeting so important. Budgeting tells your money where to go. So for me, I loved having control over my money instead of money having control over me. Instead of you wondering where it went, it shows you your money, who's in charge. So basically, like I said, I love control over my money, every single dollar, because my whole scenario is that if I have to get up and go to work, I don't want to see that money. Am I just working for Dunkin? If I'm just working to go buy my wants? No, you're working because when you get up every single morning, your money matters. Every single dollar, every single penny matters. Budgeting is also how you make money goals happen. It's how you make progress with your finances. It puts you in control. It gives you permission to spend your money your way and not spend the money that you're like, okay, what happened? So you're spending money someone else's way. A budget will help you set and track goals. Also, too, the benefits of budgeting. So again, for those who are scared about budgeting, let's talk about the benefits. The benefits of budgeting is you used as a money management tool. You gain control over all your finances, all your finances. It also helps you get organized and de-stressed. Because if it's anything like me, when it came to paying your rent or you had to pay your mortgage, let me tell you something. I was stressed out. I was just like, you know what? Anxiety had hit. And I was just like, oh God, is that time again? The landlord's going to call you, he's gonna come to your house. You don't have the money. Oh, I only got $200. I only got $500, whatever the case may be. And now with the whole rental increase with $2,000 and $3,000, before you know it, you might be in a hole about $6,000 depending. So I couldn't take the stress. Stress leads to you going to the doctor. Stress leads you to all these other implications with your health and different things like that. Also, two benefits of budgeting is used as a communication tool. Budgeting can also show you where you currently are versus where you want to be. So when you have set goals, and like I mentioned to you about Christmas clubs and vacation clubs, maybe you want to go on vacation, but again, living paycheck to paycheck, you really can't plan it, right? Also, too, when it came to Christmas time for me, who doesn't want any gifts under their tree for their children? So when you don't control, right, and you don't have that, it really shows you where you are versus where you want to be. So again, budgeting is really not that scary. Budgeting is actually fun, is actually required. Budgeting makes you aware of what is coming in and going out. Again, control. Budgeting keeps you aware if you're overspending. And also, too, budgeting keeps you mindful of what you can afford and helps you control your finances. So after we said all of that, let's take steps to budgeting. Like I said, I had a planner, but you can use the pie. You have to list your income, okay? So that's the first step. List your income. Whether it is, some people have to live on a $2,500 monthly income. Some people are more, where they could live on a $4,000 income. So let's just look and list your income. List all your expenses. Okay, so again, the expenses, your mortgage, your rent, your utilities, your food, So you have the lounging and the food. Also, too, if you have a car note, you want to add that. And now we even have to add in gas because gas prices went up. So now versus when you was filling that car up, and I don't know, some of you have SUVs. I had a smaller one. My SUV was only $45 a week just between here and work. Now we're looking at close to 100, depending on where you're going. Also, too, subtract your expenses from your income. Track your transactions. Look at your bank statements. I can't believe how many people actually don't pay attention to their bank statements. So we need to definitely track your transactions. Look at your receipts. Do not just take those receipts when you go to the ATM and just throw them away. Definitely look at your transactions, because sometimes if we're not paying close attention to our statements, we have probably went online. I've seen so much. People go on Amazon, which Amazon is safe, but sometimes we may be clicking on something and saying, okay, this is just $1. This subscription is just this. And then before you know it, they're tracking you at $26 or $30 per transaction. So make a new budget plan before the month begins. So always make a new budget plan, because sometimes you may have worked overtime. Sometimes you may have done other things. Sometimes even if you have a side hustle, you want to make a new budget plan before the month begins. Okay, so list your income. Create a separate income budget lines for every paycheck you and your spouse make, plus anything extra coming in. His paycheck may be, and this is just a breakdown. His paycheck may be paycheck one, $1,500. Her paycheck may be $1,500. His paycheck two, maybe $1,500. Her paycheck two, maybe $1,500, and also the side hustle, and the total income comes to $6,500. So that's both of your income together for that month. Okay, so that's the total breakdown. List your expenses, budget category: food, utilities, electricity, water, natural gas. I know these are very small amounts that we put in here. Electricity being 75, water being 50, natural gas being 20. Budget category: shelter and housing, mortgage $1,500, and HOA fees $50. Budget, so that's just home ownership. Budget category: transportation, gasoline $200. Total expenses come to $22.95. The other step is to subtract expenses from income. Total income $6,500 that we said before. Total expenses $22.95. Balance left is $42.05. Now don't forget to add in the line of item to build. Emergency fund. Pay yourself. I have a Mad Money account. Fund money, and then miscellaneous, and then also your retirement, depending on your situation. Some people have where with businesses they have to pay their selves, they have to pay their own retirement, and those are separate accounts, so that's on a totally different plane there. But on the consumer level, okay, some of us have, like if you're a contractor, you have to pay for your own retirement. So definitely look into that retirement. If your job offers a 401k, definitely grab hold of that 401k. There is so many benefits to that 401k. If you ever had to take out a loan, I'm all for, before you go to any of these services, even before you step into a bank, I would definitely look at the 401k avenue, only because the interest rate is always going to be lower than what any bank or credit union can offer you, and you also get more for your money. So you have to look at those. Track your expenses. If you make money, track it. If you spend money, track it. If money's coming out of your wallet, bank account, PayPal, cash envelope, coin purse, or old-fashioned piggy bank. That's really old. I'm not sure who has a piggy bank, but an old-fashioned piggy bank, track it, because I have a Cash App and I have to track it. And by the way, Cash App is starting to charge taxes on there, so you may want to track all of that. As you're tracking, make sure you're subtracting too. Keeping up with spending to keep from overspending. And ways to track. I do the old-fashioned pencil and paper. Like I said, I have a budget planner that I write, so I just do it really old school. But some people, if you're tech savvy, you could definitely get online, create your budget plan, pull up that, that e-file. Also to any type of file that you use, you could definitely ways to track that. Envelope system. So at the beginning, I spoke about my little envelope where we was using cash besides opening numerous accounts. So I do have, just a side note, I have separate accounts for all separate things. So like I said, I like having control over my money. And so I'm able to put those funds into those accounts. But the envelope system is just as good. Computer spreadsheets. So that's why I just talked about. If you're tech savvy, you're able to go on there and definitely create that spreadsheet. Also, budgeting apps. So there's so many different tools and so many different budgeting apps that you could definitely look at. And a checklist. Review prior month's budgets. Some, like when I first started budgeting and people say, oh, I just have to start this. I reviewed it. Again, reviewing what you're spending. How did you do? Okay. So after you finish with your budgeting, was you disciplined enough? Can you get better? And all those little things, and just look, okay, next month, this is what I'm going to do, or this is what didn't work. Okay. Did you meet your budget? Identify reasons and plans. So those are certain questions that you need to ask yourself. Is your income irregular or not enough to cover expenses? So this is another thing. Are we looking at maybe you don't make enough money? I mean, we all know, and maybe we don't want to take ownership of it. But again, this is a private thing. This is you. If you don't make enough to cover your expenses, what can you do? Can you find a part-time job or a high-paying job? Can you receive a promotion? Go to your manager, speak to them. Let's see if we can get that promotion, or just cut back on expenses. Sell things that you don't need. I actually went on Poshmark myself. I know Amazon is another tool, but even Poshmark, I had so many clothes. So for you guys that know that I do fashion shows and different things, I had so much product that was left over that I was able to actually go and place on Poshmark. But even the children's clothes, when they get old, I know some of us just don't want to take the time and we just send it to Savers and whatever. We get like a form so we could use it for our taxes. So we could use it as a write-off. But one thing I did like is that there's certain apps that you could definitely take your kids' clothes and make some bundles and make some cash for it. So that's selling things that you don't need. Also, don't forget to build a contribution towards your emergency fund in your budget. Start with $1,000. Should have at least 3 to 6 months of expenses. So if you were to have any type of job loss, it should be 3 to 6 months of expenses. Avoid impulse spendings or black hole spending. Okay. Also, too, the types of budgets. Okay. Some people don't understand the 50-30-20 rule, so I'll get into that. The 60% solution, reverse budgeting, zero-based budgeting, and envelopes of cash, which, like I said, that was easier for me, and budget app. So there's a few types of budgets that we could definitely look at. Let's look at the 50-30-20 rule. Let's just tap on that just a little bit. Based off of percentages with this method, right? So you see the grid here where it says priority, the 50-30-20 you category, participation, and expenses. With that, with this method, 50% of your income goes towards your needs, right? So that's the highest. 30% goes towards your wants. Not too bad. 20% goes towards your savings. This kind of budget assumes you are only about saving money, not really paying off debt. So that just means that really technically you don't have any debt on your credit or anything like that, or you don't have any loans that is added to that. So with that method, if you don't have any debts, I mean, this is good for kids that are just, young adults that are just starting with this. That is a very good program for them. 60% solution, which is the second method. With this method, you're combining all your wants and needs into 60% of your budget. Saving the other will be 40%, which is still a great number. Divided up into specific savings categories. You're only, look at the little ladies. I love that picture. You're only as old as you remember you are. 10% goes to that retirement, right? So again, the 401k, tap into it. 10% long-term savings, 10% long-term savings versus budget, and 10% fun. So this one, this is for, sometimes I think this method is just for older, especially, like I said, it's all about your retirement on this one with the 60% solution. And this focus, again, is just about saving with that focus. Reverse budgeting. What that is Most budgeting methods have you spending first and saving last. That's kind of like where we are anyway. But with this reverse budget, you're doing the exact opposite. With reverse budgeting, you'll set aside money for saving and investing before you budget for things like housing, gas, food, insurance, debt, and non-essentials. Zero-based budgeting. Let's tap into that. A zero-based budget is when all your income minus all your expenses equals zero. A zero-based budget doesn't mean you have zero in your bank account. It just means that you're giving every single dollar a name and a job to do. You get to decide how much money you put toward debt and saving every single month so you don't have to worry about it after you're already spent most of your paycheck. A zero-based budget puts you in control of your money, not the other way around. Example, because I know I just said like a whole lot. So example of what a zero-based budget means. Income, paycheck, $2,200. So that's paycheck 1. Paycheck 2 will be the spouse. That's another $2,200. Side hustle 6, so $5,000 total. Expenses, giving food, utilities, housing, transportation, insurance, debt, fun money, miscellaneous, $100 adds up to $5,000. Nothing at the end. So this is actually kind of what I did when you did the budgeting. I did all my expenses and then I was left at zero, which I liked. So everything had control over my money. Everything had its purpose, and I ended up to zero because in my mind, it just states that now it's balanced. We're even. Envelopes are cash or budget apps. Subtract expenses from income, put each expense into one envelope. Those aren't as cute as I had it, the 1, 2, 3, but you could definitely use that. Use budget apps as well. Can help you automate your required budget, requires adjustment to fit your needs, lifestyle, and also to pay yourself. So on here has a grid as to how you can do it. Again, if you're using any type of envelopes or cash or the budget app, which with the budget app, you don't really need pen or paper. But when you're using envelopes and cash, this is the way that actually my family used to budget. And that's why it was brought on to me. But here you will actually want to use pencil and paper. Okay. You also want to use this is just really the old fashioned way. You take your cash, you take your credit debit minus that, and then also to your investments. So your investments can just be your retirement on that part with that budgeting. And like I said, the first time you're trying, you're not that disciplined when you come with sticking to a budget. So here's some tips. There's trouble sticking to a budget. Use a budget plan that works. I just shared with you just a few budget plans that you can definitely use, but use a budget plan that works for you. Get your significant other involved, and also too your kids. Get your kids involved because the children need to know exactly how to budget as well, and what tools are good for you. Like I said, I do work for Dunkin Credit Union, no advertisement, but you want to look at certain children's accounts and teach them that. I started my children off right before we moved into a checking account. I started them off with also a passbook. Passbooks, I know the workers get mad with passbooks. It's very old school, but my daughter actually likes seeing her money. After we put that little funds in, I didn't really have a piggy bank for her. So anytime that we had birthday parties, anytime that she had her, when we had her baptism, when anybody gave any type of donation, when she did great, when she was like, at the time she was playing softball, different things like that, people were always making and giving us gifts. So I would like to bring her to the bank, and we went to the bank, and when we went to the credit union, we were able to have that passbook and actually look at that book and see what our funds were doing. So definitely get your kids involved and teach them about budgeting and learning how to save. And then also ask yourself, are you being unrealistic? So again, we want to go back to the money. If we're making $2,500, you don't want to sit here and have all these expenses for $5,000 because it's going to discourage you. Let's be realistic. Let's see what we can do. Are you being too restrictive? Some people are really, really restrictive where not only do they want to save money, but then they don't want to save it. Meaning that some people, like, they're really hesitant on even spending any money. So when you don't see like, oh, I don't have enough for this, and then you're putting money away, but you could really use money for what you need it for. Are you checking in frequently? Are you looking at those statements frequently? Are you, I have people that come in once a week and they're like, listen, can you pull my statement? Can you pull my transaction report? Because I really want to see what is going on with my finances. So those are a few tips there with trouble sticking to budget. How to succeed with your budget. Okay. Spend less than you earn. Keep expenses low. Create a budget each month. Give every dollar you earn a job to do. Regularly track your budget against your actual spending. Let's get into retirement just really briefly. Save at least 15% for retirement. So when you're looking at your 401k, or if you have to pay yourself, if you are a contractor, you want to only do the minimum at save 15% for your retirement. So when you speak to your financial advisor, which I had to do with my 401k, my minimum was 15% to save. Even though now, as I've gotten older, I do put more into my 401k, where I'm up to almost 25% from my pay. But 15% is where to start, because when you reach this step, you will have a fully funded emergency fund and no payments except for your house. Now it's time to get serious about building wealth. Start investing 15% of your income into Roth Iras and tax advantage retirement accounts. So I really don't want to get into Roth IRAs and the difference between Roth IRAs and what traditional IRAs are, but there are benefits. So I really encourage, when you do go to your financial institution and speak about the Roth IRA versus the traditional IRAs. And there's definitely more benefits when you're looking at the Roth IRAs. College funds for kids. Let's tap into that. Look at these average price tags for yearly tuition and fees. Public 2-year college for in-district students, $3,770, so $3,770. Public 4 college year for in-state students, $10,560. Public 4-year college for out-of-state students, $27,020, and private 4-year college, $37. And I think since the tuition and fees like went up a whole lot, so I kind of understand. But I just want to go into why are student loans a bad idea? Why are they a bad idea? According to the Federal Reserve, Americans owe $1.6 trillion in student loan debt. The average student loan debt per graduate reached a record high of $38,792 in the year of 2020. There are about 44 million student loan borrowers in America right now. Depending on the repayment plan and loan amount, it can take anywhere from 10 to 30 years to repay student loans. How to pay for college without student loans. Pay cash for your degree. Do you really have to go to that 4-year college? I know that it's an honor, okay, when you get, to an Ivy League school, but maybe you could pay cash for your degree. Apply for aid, student aid. Choose for an affordable school. Go to a community college first. I like to use that because many people don't say about going to the community college first and doing a 2-year. Because when you do graduate at a 4-year college, really you don't ever say like, I went to CCRI. Most people are concerned about where you finished. Consider directional schools, explore trade schools, apply for scholarships, get grants. Let's go back to the scholarships. Many of your credit unions have scholarships that the children could definitely participate in. Get grants, work during school, study programs, off-campus jobs, side business. Live off campus, get on a budget. So last but not least, our references: NewYorkFed.org, Experian.com, Forbes.com, MyMoney.gov. So that's it. Any questions or concerns, you could definitely either contact myself, or you could definitely reach out to Pastor Shirley Hood from Destiny Productions. So I hope you really enjoyed this workshop, and I hope it was very informative for you. And I'm signing off. God bless. Bye.